Everton have been looking good. They brought in some new talent. Some of their old talent is starting to peak. James Rodriguez has looked amazing. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has looked amazing as well. Bagged the hat trick this week. Richarlison's been great. So yeah, those are the main three. A lot of people have Digne as well, but out of those three attacking assets, it's kind of a tough decision. They're priced a little differently. Calvert-Lewin started at 7, but he's up to 7.2 now. Or did he rise again last night? He's still at 7.2? I think he's still at 7.2. Yeah.
Right now.
So he's at 7.2. Richarlison's at 8, and James is at 7.5. Somehow he didn't rise either. Yeah, so all kind of similarly priced. They're within the same 0.8 of each other. How do we feel? Tazz, you want to start us off? Which Everton asset would you rather have?
I think they're all great. I think James is a very interesting option because he comes out at such a cheap price of 7.5, and he's kind of outscoring a lot of more expensive midfield options. It's kind of like you can downgrade like somebody like a 9 million or 8.5 million Chelsea asset down to James and have
like
that
a Havertz maybe.
Yeah. And then have that 1 million to upgrade, like a 5 or like a budget option in midfield or elsewhere. So, James is a really interesting pick for me. Before I was kind of like, I was thinking like after game week 1, I was kind of thinking, Calvert-Lewin's a little bit lucky to turn goals and Richarlison wasn't, because, Calvert-Lewin didn't even score any goal, I believe, after restart. So, it's kind of like high on Richarlison, but, after this game week, Calvert was not that much far off from Richarlison in terms of shots and goal threat. But I still, I will consider him, but I still think Richarlison is the best option out of all of them. He's unlucky to be the least scoring out of them 3, but he does have most shots significantly, and I feel like, going forward when he does hit form, he'd be very dangerous.
Gash?
Yeah, so I was speaking of transferring out a Chelsea asset for Thomas. That's exactly what I did over the weekend. I had Pulisic from the start of the season, trying to get ahead of everyone and anticipate when he was coming back from his injury. But then he hurt himself again, so I immediately brought in James because I thought he was going to price rise, and he didn't. So I'm a little annoyed at that. But anyway, the reason why I brought in James is because he looks very central to Everton's attack. I think there are days where either DCL could haul and Richarlison blanks or vice versa. And it might be a little hard to predict, although they'll both end up scoring a decent amount of points in the end. But again, kind of for the same reason I went for KDB over Sterling, I'd rather have those consistent returns. And I think James will always be, there will be times where he plays the pass before the assist and doesn't get any FPL points for it. But I think that he's going to be involved enough to warrant picking him. And we also don't know who's on penalties yet for Everton. It's probably going to be either James or Richarlison. And then between the two forwards, I took a quick look. So Richarlison does dominate DCL in terms of penalty area touches. It's 23-9. But the important thing to note there is that DCL isn't the type of player to take a lot of touches in the box. He's the type of scrapper that'll get you the dirty goals like down in the 6-yard box or within the penalty spot. So that's not really representative of what's going to be happening. In terms of shots inside the box, Richarlison actually has the most of all forwards with 10, and DCL has 8, which is second most of all forwards. So they're both getting a lot of shots inside the box. And I think at those numbers, with how close they are, that I'd rather go with DCL and save the money than bringing in Richarlison.
C4, what do you think?
I think all 3 are very good assets to have right now. I guess my only point is, and the reason why I've already brought in James like Gasch, is it all depends on what works into your price structure for your team. So for me, it'd be very hard to bring in like a $7 to $8 million striker that just doesn't fit into my team. Whereas a 7.5 midfielder, that's a lot easier to balance out, a lot easier to bring in. And throughout the season, I think that provides you more flexibility for transfers. Someone at that 7-8, unless you're going to like a Jimenez or downgrading to a budget striker, there's not a lot of transfers you can really make laterally with that number up top. In midfield, there's a lot more options, and I think that's why James is the most valuable option.
Yeah, so I used my wild card this week, which I'll get into a little bit later. But I wanted an Everton asset, so I was going through this in my head this week, trying to decide between the three of them. And yeah, I think Richarlison is a little better than Calvert-Lewin, and I think we can expect him to return more consistently. I'm a little worried that we're seeing the peak of Calvert-Lewin really early with that hat trick. I'm not sure that's something we can expect week in and week out. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I saw that he was like right around the top of achieving his expected goal rate. So he's playing a little better than expected right now. Kind of just been really in form. And I feel like it might be a little too late to get in on that. He already rose in price twice. And I just felt like using those funds on Hamas would make a lot more sense, just 0.3 higher. And I just felt like he would be the more consistent player all season long. Yeah, I really like what he's been doing. He's been playing a little bit like KDB was this past weekend. He's been tried out in a couple of different positions as well. He's playing that like an attacking 8. He played a little bit in the number 10. He was even attacking a bit from the wing that I saw. So yeah, he just seems involved in everything they do. And if he can get on free kicks and penalties, I know he's splitting corners now with Digne, it looks like, so that's exciting. And also seems to be splitting free kicks with him. So we'll see. Yeah, but Hamas is definitely my pick. I did pick him to go into my team this week, and I think he's the best Everton asset.